When Zohran Mamdani stepped up to that microphone Tuesday night, the socialist shock began to shake the Democrat establishment, dripping with defiance. Mamdani, in effect, announced not reform, but a Marxist revolution with America's largest city as ground zero. Stick with me to the very end of this video because we're going to see how the Democrat establishment has gone into full damage control mode as Mamdani already openly demonstrates his embarrassing incompetence. And New Yorkers are, as we speak, voting with their feet like never before. He hasn't even been sworn in yet, and it's already a total and complete disaster. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Newly elected mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, is already disappointing Democrats, and it didn't take long. Mamdani had barely just finished his victory speech. It was infested with all kinds of Marxist references and vitriol when Van Jones, one of the most prominent Democrat commentators on CNN, said this.
I think he missed an opportunity. I think the Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. And I think that Mamdani is the one you need to hear from tonight. There are a lot of people trying to figure out, can I get on this train with him or not? Is he going to include me? Is he going to be more of a class warrior even in office? I think he missed a chance tonight to open up and bring more people into the tent. I think his tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight, and there was some other voice on stage.
Yeah, Van, that's how it works. That is precisely how socialism works. They start by offering you candy, and they end up sticking a gun to your head. That's how it works literally every single time it's historically tried. My former classical guitar teacher, he was from Cuba. He lived during the Cuban Revolution, and he described it fascinating. He remembers as a kid when Castro overthrew their government, and all of his troops drove into the village and offered all the children candy, and the kids absolutely loved them, and everyone was so excited. They were all told they were being liberated from oppression, like they were all free finally. And then he said just literally a few days later, everything started to change. Suddenly things started getting very, very bleak, very, very oppressive, and very frightening. Neighbors were being arrested and carted off in the middle of the night, never to be seen again. This is how it works. And that's why more and more New Yorkers have already decided they ain't sticking around. Wagamama USA, the Asian fusion restaurant chain, has just announced they gone. They're out of there. They are relocating their corporate headquarters from New York City to none other than Tampa, Florida. Again, this is the very pattern that we've been seeing, particularly in Chicago, where business headquarters have been picking up and moving, and corporate chains are actually just closing down their locations in the city. Once again, this is the pattern. Capitalist institutions are not going to stick around and have some socialist sycophant abuse them as he sees fit. And look at this. Fox Business is reporting that Miami and South Florida realtors are already estimating $100 million real estate boom in their state. It gets better and better for red states, all coming from, you guessed it, New York City. In fact, this is one of the reasons why New York Governor Kathy Hochul is already signaling she ain't going to be participating in any way in Mamdani's Marxist Manhattan makeover because she doesn't want a mass exodus from the state. I mean, she's already trying to contain the damage. Damage that's already been done due to years of failed Democrat policies imposed on New Yorkers, particularly by her. I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering. Over 125,000 New Yorkers have already moved to Florida in recent years, bringing nearly $14 billion in adjusted gross income with them. Mamdani's proposed 2% tax on incomes exceeding $1 million would push New York's total tax burden to an astonishing 54%, which is already triggering a mass exodus of some of New York's top income earners and an estimated loss of $5 to $10 billion in tax revenue. And it's not just businesses or taxpayers. City officials are already resigning. Within just hours after Mamdani was declared the winner, the New York Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker handed in his resignation. He gave no specific reason, but given that it happened within hours of Mamdani being elected, it's pretty clear that the resignation itself is the message. But if you could believe it, it actually gets worse. Wait until you see the very first act Mamdani has just done as mayor-elect. If this doesn't tell you everything you need to know, nothing will. But first, gang, are you eating like your health depends on it? Because it does. Most disease does not start in your genes. It starts in your kitchen. Our food supply has been hijacked. From Roundup poison to mRNA animal injections, Big Ag and Big Pharma has strategically synced up to get people stuck on a subliminal medical loop. Well, at the wellness company, they're no longer accepting a system where the health industry ignores food and the food industry ignores health. Meet Wellness Farms, a new way to fuel your body from a trusted brand who puts people before profits. Hand-selected USA small farm beef boxes. I mean, where the beef goes from a pasture to butcher, flash frozen to your door. It's unbelievable. Think old school meets modernized convenience. And it's the purest food. It's all mRNA and vaccine free. It's grass-fed, grass-finished cattle raised on regenerative American family farms. I mean, these animals are cared for in a way that restores the soil, it protects ecosystems, and produces nutrient-dense meat how nature intended. Each box has unique cuts broken down by mineral and gut health focuses. No antibiotics, no hormones, just clean, honest, regeneratively raised food. Eat like your life depends on it, because it does. Head on over to twc.health/Turley and use code TurleyFarms to save up to $85 plus free shipping. Remember, MAGA depends on MAHA, making America healthy again. Well, now you can get MAHA in a box delivered right to your front door. Click on that link below and use code TurleyFarms to save up to $85 and free shipping. Click on that link below right now. True to form, Mamdani is already holding his hand out and soliciting for more donations from the very people who support him, despite his campaign promises to overwhelm those supporters with all kinds of free stuff. You know, like bus service, rent freezes, and the like. The irony is beyond palpable. I mean, think about it. After winning on the promise of providing for ordinary New Yorkers, the first thing Mamdani does is turn around and ask those same supporters to pay for his transition team. The guy who ran around New York City promising free stuff is already asking for money from the very people he promised all that free stuff to. You can't make this stuff. I mean, so immediately, already out of the gate, we can already see how all this free stuff ain't so free. In fact, there's no such thing as free. Think of it as like the F word. Free simply means someone else is paying for it. And they all happen to be leaving New York. Now, the irony here is that the first people who are paying for Mamdani's government are the very people he promised wouldn't have to pay a dime. And of course, this was all completely predictable. Anyone could see it a mile away. Here's Piers Morgan last night on the Greg Gutfeld show.
I mean, this is going to be an absolutely priceless thing to watch, because Mamdani has never run a Welk stool. You familiar with Welk stools, jelly deals, that kind of stuff? Mm-hmm. He's never run anything. Yeah. He's in his 30s. He's got zero experience. But what he's brilliant. He's a brilliant politician. Mm-hmm. He's a brilliant promiser. of great things to come. He's the promised land in many ways. The problem is he will not be able to deliver on any of these promises. Socialism does not work. It never works anywhere. It's never going to work anywhere. And so he's going to start letting down people very quickly.
And as we can see, it's already happening. He's already beginning to walk back on a number of tens of millions of promises that he made on how his socialist government was going to come in and solve every single problem on the planet. Now, for us, what's so key here, the big lesson from all of this, we talked a lot about this yesterday, I think pretty much on all 3 videos yesterday. Mamdani represents what we call the populist left, right? The Bernie Sanders left. Note, he is not going on the campaign trail. He was not going after Republicans. He was not going after conservatives. He was not going after the right. He was going after the capitalist system itself. So this is the vertical divide versus horizontal divide that we always talk about here on this channel. Populism, fundamentally, if somebody asked, what's a populist? If you had to if you had to define populism, populism is about realigning the political divide from a horizontal divide, left versus right, Republican versus Democrat, conservative versus liberal, to a vertical divide, the people versus the political class, the ordinary American versus the oligarchs, right? But populism is pretty much just that structural realignment. Being a populist tells you very little about your actual politics. Like, are you on the right? Are you more conservative? Precisely because populism transcends those horizontal divides by realigning that horizontal divide into a vertical one. What that means for us is that if voters feel like right-wing populism that they voted for overwhelmingly back in 2024, if they feel that's failed them, right? If it's like this, they will without hesitation move on over to the left. The left-wing populists. They don't care about the right-left divide. They care about defeating the establishment, the aristocratic oligarchy that they see as the single biggest threat to their lives. That's the attraction of Mamdani, ironically. That's why we talked yesterday about the rise of the Trump Mamdani voter. We now have data that shows that there were thousands of voters in New York on Tuesday that voted for Trump in 2024 and then shifted and voted for Mamdani. They're not thinking in capitalist, communist terms. They're thinking in people versus a corrupt political class that's making their lives totally unaffordable. The left and the right are very fluid in this populist realignment. So what Trump and the Republicans are going to have to do is they're going to have to reinvigorate that original MAGA and MAHA populist message that resonated so successfully and powerfully with working class voters all across the nation who are overwhelmingly concerned about affordability. Republicans have largely ignored these economic anxieties for the past several months, and they've done so, as you can see, at their own peril. So ironically, the single best antidote to Mamdani's socialist revolution is the very MAGA revolution that began last November, and in many ways is just getting started. Remember my fiery clips that went viral? Well, they've returned. It's called Turley Clips, and it's your daily shot of truth in 60 seconds or less. This is different from my main channel where we dive deep into analysis. Turley Clips is built for speed, for the moments you need the truth now. Subscribe to Turley Clips now and red pill your feed.